asamukele usomlomo we-MRP ubaba uvelile moyo. Siyakwamukela baba.
Yeah, sanibonani.
Yebo baba.
Yeah, angazi noma ngiyazwakala mhlawumbe.
Uyezwakala kakhulu njalo sesiyakubona manje.
Ngibona manje hayi.
Siyabona. Hayi uthola nje sesiqalile uhlelo baba. Besisithi wena njengosomlomo we-MRP istatement esethulwe ngupresident Emmerson Mnangagwa.
Yebo.
Lisibona kanjani?
Okay. Istatement sika Emmerson Mnangagwa lesa sikhulume esechitungweza lela langa. Ngicabanga ukuthi thina njenge-MRP ngendlela esibone ngaso lesa statement okokuqala ngicabanga ukuthi lo udaba vele beludirectwe kithi ikakhulu thina kuyithi esikhuluma kakhulu ngendaba yesization eZimbabwe. Kanti ke sicubungulisisa kahle inkulumo ka Emmerson Mnangagwa kusuka kube lezi zinto eziningi ezididayo njalo ke kube lezi zinto eziningi ezethusayo. Sikhangele ukuthi yena umakhuluma lesi statement engumuntu onjani njalo enemvelaphi ethini emlandelayo yena njengopresident waseZimbabwe. Okokuqala thina into esethusayo ukuthi ungezwa sekukhulunywa ngumuntu okuthiwa i-head of state njalo chief commander of the army. Into leyi isuka imangalisa ukuthi azama ukuchaza yikuphi ngoba ama-threats akhe akhuluma kakhulu ebhekise ekuthini is either you comply or uyafa. That was the statement esiphume kuMnangagwa. So ngezindlela ngama-threats awukuthi abantu basangabulawa kumbe abantu basangenziwa okunye okuthile. Engicabanga ukuthi ama-statements lawana awakho democratically founded ngoba yena okokuqala engupresident maye sitsho amagama afana nokuthi akababophi ngezinye indlela kusho ukuthi yena ke naye uyaemforce ukuthi namandla ukuthi angabopha abantu abafana entolongweni. Lokho kusikhumbuza lokho kunokwenzakala esiningi ngoba abantu bakithi abaningi bahlala bebotshwa ama-activists eparty nama-members eparty. Esikhathini esiningi bathi bangaboshwa uzezwa inkulumo laphana koBulawayo Central Police Station kuyabe kuthatha isikhathi uzokuthiwa sisalinde ukuthi sizwe ukuthi iHarare ithini. So okokuqala lokhu kuyasibonisa ukuthi kusho ukuthi ama-instructions ukuthi abantu bakithi baboshwe vele kusukela kudala abesuke velela khona eHarare. Akusiyo mhlawumbe yokuthi abantu bakithi kuma-members ethu kukhona ababekwenzile mhlawumbe ukuthi deserve ukuthi law and order ku-correct ngesingayo ikoBulawayo. Kodwa uzezwa bethi salinde ukuthi sizwe ukuthi iHarare ithini. So kuyaverifya okokuqala ukuthi hayi yena umongameli ukuthi uyanika instruction yokuthi abantu abakithi kuma-members ethu kawaboshwe. And then maye khuluma ke futhi ngendaba yokuthi ke abantu kabalandele umthetho kumbe balandele lokhu okuyikho okukhulunywa ngugovernment walesi sikhathi ukuze impilo yabo ibende. Kusuka kumangalisa ukuthi ke ungabe ekhuluma ngokuthi kumele silandele njengalokho abakwenza ukuthi ababa re-engineer social ukuthi baqalise ukuthi babone izinto ngesizano PF bangaboni izinto ngendlela abanayo ngesikhathi besalandela izapho. So ngezindlela kusibonisa ukuthi mhlawumbe uMnangagwa lapha uzama ukubuyisela futhi indaba ye-one party state kungabi le-opposition kumbe ngezinye indlela uMnangagwa usalwisana lemathebeleleni ngendlela efanayo alwisana ngayo ngesikhathi sabo 80. Ingathi ngamafishane ke yindlela esikubona ngayo thina njenge-MRP istatement sikaMnangagwa sikhulume esechitungwezi.
Yeah. Kuyabongeka kakhulu baba Moyo. Ucabanga kwakho nangokubona kwakho kungani uMnangagwa ekhulumela amagama manje?
Okokuqala nathi kusimangalisile ukuthi uMnangagwa ukhulume lento towards ama-by-elections lawa. Thina kasikho nakuma-by-elections njenge-MRP asingenanga ukhetho lwama-by-elections. We are not a part of it. The campaign rally that was there specifically, they khangela ama-by-elections that are taking place today. But we really wondered why he had to make the issue of Mthwakazi as if we are directly in opposition to him kuma-by-elections akhona. So thina when we're evaluating this, probably okukhona. One is Mpofu and Babundlovu, they're actually saying the kind of a person who is speaking. So Intolana also is telling to say, if Mnangagwa is the one who is speaking, is there anyone speaking behind him or speaking outside because of what he is feeling as an individual? So there are two options. It could be either there are people that are putting pressure on Mnangagwa for him to say this publicly against abantu about MRP speaking about the issue of secession, or it could be Mnangagwa speaking of himself because he is actually suffering because of what he did. But maskangela evaluate ngicabanga ukuthi uMnangagwa ekufikeni kwabo eMathebeleland as ZANU-PF, we saw them busing abantu and so on, but bayabe befikile ba-evaluate babona ukuthi abantu bemathebeleland whatever approach they may be bringing. We saw ama-audios coming from eBhinga after irally yabo abantu bekhuluma ukuthi no le into yenziwa yiZANU-PF sezama ukuthi bazobribe abantu and so on ukuthi abantu babe silent. Abantu abaningi senzelele ama-tactics eZANU-PF, and uMnangagwa une-pressure yena ngakwakhe because he is seeing ukuthi he is losing grip of i-control yeZimbabwe. So usebuya lama-tactics ashiyeneyo okuzama ukuthi lethi intimidation. So okokuqala uyasi-intimidator into silence, and at the same time is trying to intimidate ama-communities akomthwakazi into silence. Ngoba eseBhinga nakhona wayithinta le nto, eseBhinga wathi bona abantu laba bafuna ukudivide ilizwe bangwe-legion, they need to be exorcised. Wathi sinama-demon, we understand. So kasakukhulumanga wathi ba kodwa wasehambe esiya kuthi ba eseseHarare. Ngezindlela ubengekho sure i-response azayithola ebantwini baseBhinga kube emathebeleni come clean open about his opposition to stance sabantu basemathebeleland. Then he decided to go and say it eseHarare eChitungwiza. So in a way that means vele esiza kurally emathebeleland ubevele efuthelene ukuthi akhulume lento eyikhuluma wazibamba ngenxa ukuthi ubesazama ukuthi awine abantu baseBhinga to his side. So ngicabanga ukuthi i-pressure esikhona and the way this thing is not sleeping ngoba abantu bakithi bayaboshwa and so on, but still abantu lokhu beqhubeka bekhuluma, and for all that njenge-MRP sesihambile kuma-communities besiba lama-kitchen meetings, lama-village meetings, lama-homestead meetings nabantu sikhulumisana nabo, and many people they fully understand what we are saying ukuthi into yeZimbabwe has failed us for the past 40 years, and i-solution sokuthi ibuye kithi. We cannot be hoping ukuthi iZANU-PF that has failed for the past 40 years to give us a solution is going to give us a solution. So outreach esesiyenzile towards abantu basemathebeleleni emakhaya, you know, asikazi into le ama-big rallies and so on to mobilize, but with the little resources sesihambile saba semakhaya kuma-cells, kuma-wards, kuma-councillors. You know, we meet quite a lot of people, even some of the people from opposition parties, they would agree ukuthi i-issue Mathebeleland now needs a solution within Mathebeleland. We are supposed to bring that solution to. So Mnangagwa, now I feel ukuthi he got so much pressure internally and externally, and believe abanye abantu actually pushing him to start to wage that kind of a war. Sibonile that other guy Joshua Mabonga previous days ukhulume naye, when he came openly waqalisa ukuthi akhulume bad things about abantu bemathebeleland. Also talking about that Luma is refer back to South Africa. You understand? He's actually trying to say which asina labantu basemidleni esele kuphela ukuthi so-ke ama-statements akamaponga umaponga, we can tell which he has been captured, and when he's coming in umaponga is coming in as if he's someone who is neutral, but you can tell ukuthi akakho neutral, but he has a point to raise, and then all of a sudden Mnangagwa is coming up in the open. So umaponga in a way wanted to swerve everyone, and then abesezama ukuthi abone ukuthi i-issue yamathebeleland angayiletha njani into the open baqalisa ukuthi bakhulume ngayo. But you can see ukuthi ama-threats kaMnangagwa, they are pressures behind and they are pressures within.
Okay, no, thanks very much, Baba Moyo. As MRP activists, leaders and members, how safe do you feel?
Babongala, I think the statement has a huge impact on the revolution, in the sense that we have activists, we have sympathizers, and we have people that are doing things behind the scenes. And we have community members also who are trying to come to terms with issues like Hebelele. The safety of us as a political party or a political party members, especially from the leadership side, cannot be guaranteed. Firstly, knowing that Mnangagwa, one is the head of state, and number two is the chief commander of the army, and knowing the kind of a country which is Zimbabwe, with their state security and also the very so-called parents and CIOs and everyone, you realize which this has given them an aid for them to act at any given time should they wish to upon any of our leadership or any of our members in any way to silence them. You know, when Emmerson Mnangagwa as the president, he has spoken, that means he has literally given them a right to go ahead and do anything that they may want to do. Knowing the history of Zimbabwe, kunyamalala kwabantu, ukuthotshwa kwabantu, and ukuhlukunyezwa kwabantu to bring them to silence. Specifically, statement Lesana, it was meant to make sure that people go down to silence and stop speaking about the issues of Matabele. So it's a forced way to silence our people. So our security at this time cannot be guaranteed at all within the context of Zimbabwe, because you don't know what they are saying behind the scenes. As they may not openly do some of these things, but they may do it hidden behind the veil of darkness to make sure they can even conceal it, but at the same time making sure they are silencing the opponents. So we know the stances and their modus operandi as ZANU-PF and also as the state security of Zimbabwe, how they do things. Our people are unarmed, and exactly how they did it during the time of Kukurahundi. And there is no way you can have the guarantee that the police in Zimbabwe can secure you, or they can guarantee you that security. They are always given instructions as to what they are supposed to do. So you cannot get that guarantee that the state security of Zimbabwe can actually protect us, because we are also entitled to the protection within the constitution of Zimbabwe where we are. But that guarantee, you cannot get it. Know how Zimbabwe operates in terms of limiting everyone who is appearing to be in opposition of the government. West to mention the issues of Mtwagazi. The reason being, many people can be instructed to do things. Look at what happened during the time of Raundi. Let me assume that some people that a brigade were actually put there to act on command, not necessarily that there were people that were determined to say, I'm going out to eliminate everyone that is in Ndebele or within the context of Ndebele land. Some of them were given instructions to go and do it, or they were oriented to go and kill. So we may not literally say everyone in Mashonaland is against Matabeleland, but we can safely say that when Mnangagwa speaks that in Chitungwiza, either way, he is trying to create a certain way to the people of Chitungwiza, the people of Mashonaland, to look at the people of Matabeleland and say, okay, so when Matabeleland Bafun break away from Zimbabwe, then they deserve to be eliminated. You understand? So at the end of the day, we are looking at it from the context of Zimbabwe and say, then our is not guaranteed. If during the time of Ikukura, they had to make sure which information does not circulate to anyone so that they continue doing their things. Because if you look at it, actually, which media was black at that time, they made sure which amas are not accessible. There was curfew and all those things to make sure which they eliminate people in silence. So either way, ZANU-PF in its operandi, they can come up with a way to make sure which they can eliminate everyone who is in opposition, especially who is speaking about the issues of Matabeleland, until they are done with them. Because if you listen carefully as how Mnangagwa was uttering his statements, he said, before I arrest these people, let them listen carefully. So in a way, what he's simply saying is, I can take this into my hands and I can instruct anyone to act on these people. But I want them to listen and repent or take a different course altogether if they don't want to suffer these consequences. So literally, if we continue, that means our security is not guaranteed because already the commander of the army has spoken. Already the state president has spoken. So that means it's up to us now to decide whether we continue or we toe the line. That means if we continue, then our security is exposed because Emerson Mnangagwa has spoken and has told everyone that if they do not comply, then the danger of having their life exterminated or making sure that their life becomes short.
Njenge MRP, njengoba usisho baba Moyo, are you going to continue?
I think the revolution cannot be stopped either way. As much as during the time of independence, there were laws that regulated everyone, whether it was constitutional or laws that were being determined by whoever was in power during the Smith regime. But we saw that people continued because they wanted the independence that they wanted at the time. Even if Smith was saying there is no way a black person or the majority will be able to rule Zimbabwe, but within a short space of time, the people took out to the streets and they were able to go out in combat to the regime of the time. And they were in a position to have their independence. I'm not saying it's going to be the same, but what I'm simply saying is when a time of a revolution has finally come, there's nothing that can stop it. Because what is more critical here is Mnangagwa, what he's trying to do is a way to try to conceal or to try to force people into submission. But look at it, it's within a period of 40 years since the issues of the genocide happened. But that the genocide was there to make sure that they silenced the people because they were forced to align themselves to ZANU-PF. They were forced to vote for ZANU-PF. They were forced to say certain slogans to make sure which they are socially reoriented or socially re-engineered so that they can start to look at things from a certain perspective. And we saw that there was some fear, even when you look at it, Kudala, Abadala was finally yazimpi. As fun ukubonisa kunayo thina. Babetsho kanjalo, you understand? But if we look at it, that kind of suppression continued for a certain period of time. But there are certain things that happen generationally. To a point that the generation that is now is asking questions. Why were our parents and our forefathers killed? What was the reason? Because we do not have a reference of point to say they were killed because of this. And we have not seen any apology being given by the people that actually perpetrated these killings. And then we are seeing the same people, I myself looking at Mnangagwa here in power, I'm asking myself, Mnangagwa is in power, but it's the same person who killed our people. How do we give a homage and how do we give submission to a person who has not apologized for what he did? You understand? I myself was young, but I can recall what was happening. I remember a certain day when all of our parents, I was young at that time. My mother was carrying me. I cried a lot to a point that the soldiers had to say, when a mama sugumuham, we understand. That's how my mother survived. Because basala beshayo, abanye bashayo, abanye balinyazwa, abanye bathwalele ezibhedlela sebelimele, but my mom had to survive because ngakhala mina kakhulu, and it still rings as if it's yesterday in my mind as it was happening. So I'm going to bring a point, izinto lezi, even if Mnangagwa may try to silence people and bring them to the line into submission, that's exactly what they were doing. They saw the power eyayikhona kuZAPU ne-Zipra Force. In a way, what happened to ZAPU and Zipra Force is exactly what Mnangagwa is trying to do to MRP now, and all other formations within Mzansi. They're fighting for liberation of Umchazi. Even if Mnangagwa may try to silence the people, they always silence what needs to be done. He may try, but he may not. But one simple looking at is Mnangagwa is just trying to buy time so that at least if people can be forced to submit, he may be able to have extended 5 years or 10 years in a way without people bothering him. But what we are simply saying as MRP, we are simply saying is there's no reason we should drop back what we have already started, because the issues of Matabeleland are very critical to a point that people are pinning their hopes on whoever is trying to actually to come up with a solution. So in a way, there are people that are pinning their hopes on what MRP is doing. There are people who are putting their hopes on what other actors are doing. And if we will submit to what Mnangagwa is saying, and then we stop, we're actually stopping a revolution, which is not MRP's revolution, but it is a revolution of the people. But who are behind the scenes supporting all that is done by the political spectrum. So in a way, as MRP, there's no way we can stop. We are going to continue, whether our security is guaranteed or is not guaranteed. There's no way we should stop. We just need to continue putting pressure, because what you're simply doing is you're putting pressure on Mnangagwa and his regime so that they may act upon the issues of Matabeleland, because silence in any way will not solve our problem. There's a statement that was once uttered by Martin Luther who said, it is not safe for a person to speak against their own conscience. When he was meant to be silenced, he had written some theses, I think about 80 or 70 something theses that he nailed on the door during the time of the Roman Revolution. Martin Luther, when he was forced to retract his words, says, no, I will not retract my words, for it is not safe for a man to speak against his own conscience. So it's useless. We see that happening with different people in participation within the political spectrum in Zimbabwe. They try by all means to gloss over these issues as if they never happened. You know, they try to act as if Zimbabwe is a unitary state. No, we need to be rational about all this and so on. But being rational about what is happening while the perpetrators continue to enjoy immunity or continue to also perpetrate other issues without impunity does not serve any purpose. So either way, within the context of Zimbabwe, there is a need for people or a grouping like MRP and other activists to continue piling up pressure in this regime until the solution is found.
Siyabonga kakhulu Baba Moyo. Ubaba Moyo, Baba Moyo, akhona amazwi ngabe ufisa ukuthi uwadlulise engabe ngakubuzanga khona baba.
Siyabonga ngibonge kakhulu Baba uNkala. Ngiphinde ngibonge ubaba uNdlovu, ngibonge ubaba uMpofu laphana. Ukuthi bebe khona labo kulolu hlelo from a scholastic point of view, ukhangeleke ngendaba zalokho kwenzakala eZimbabwe, okuyindaba endala ongasona entsha. Ngibonge i-contribution kaMagonya laphana. That is a very good contribution. Ikakhulu that provokes unity and also proactivity in terms of coming up with a solution. My problem Matabeleland are deep and I think more involvement and more hands on the deck was ukuthi kube nama solution angashesha. I think it's a point taken there, especially looking at the scholastic approach abobaba uMpofu lobaba uNdlovu ukuthi can they research and come up with a way, one that can actually help unite abantu within the context of umthwakazi so that you come up with something concrete. Easier ukuthi a rope of many strands is also, but at the same time, the weakest link in the chain is no stronger than its weakest link. So ma ungazi chain kuthiwe chain yenziwe ngama ions, but ma ilokhu weakest link okuyi-one, it can't be stronger than that weakest link. So those are the things we need to close as a nation if we really want to achieve our solutions as soon as possible. Then when a small question that I needed to ask from maybe looking at the current situation and what is happening, and after those statements, what are any legal ways that as a nation we can seek for the sake of security, looking at the context of Zimbabwe and looking at the vulnerability of Abantu Bagiti? Is there any legal arrangement international from the international law that can be pursued to come up with a solution? Because the only thing that is there now after Wetu Selaganje, which abantu abaningi, they cannot even walk in the public within Zimbabwe. And for that reason, we cannot have a guarantee within the context of state security as Zimbabwe, because the commander-in-chief has already spoken. So maybe from the research, are there any possible ways that can guarantee security within a context of nationally?
Baba Ndlovu, ma ungaqala ukuphendula umbuzo.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu uCouncillor Inselelo impela ubaba uMo. Right, i-principle aba-operator ngayo kabanzi kakhulu baba umoyo ku-international law, i-principle athi sovereign equality of nations, and this principle of non-interference in the affairs of other states. Okudala ukuthi kube lukhuni ukuthi ezinye izizwe zilunguze ngaphakathi and see exactly what's happening. So the issue maybe of lifting that sovereignty veil is always problematic. Khona kukhona ama-international tribunals anjengabo ICCC, where such statements, if thoroughly investigated, kwenziwe paperwork to establish exactly is this a crime, and as I insinuated earlier on, there is no law in Zimbabwe that justifies a statement of this kind by anybody, not even the president. So it is possible in principle to take legal action, maybe not with the intention to win, but at least with the intention to bring to the table just that issue and make it topical and an issue of discussion. So whilst it has been said in some circles that the judiciary in Zimbabwe is captured, I think it should always be tested on these issues. We must bring that litmus test, get a legal team together and file papers at the court in Zimbabwe to challenge the constitutionality of the utterances of the president. Because certainly those utterances are anti-constitutional, they are undemocratic, they actually threaten the lives of the people without any legal basis and legal substance. So I think in principle, he has committed an offense. He has committed a criminal offense because he did not speak within his powers as a president. He actually overstepped the limits of a president, because there is nowhere in the constitution and in the law where he is actually empowered to threaten people. Maybe the only part where he could say he was within the law is the first part where he talks about arrest. But again, arrest happens within a particular legal context. So I would suggest that a team should be put together, a legal team, have a complainant who is the public or whoever is bold enough to come to the open as a complainant and start prosecuting it from there, even through that judicial system whose credibility may be questionable, but still take it through them and hear what they've got to say about the whole thing. I think that's an approach that should be very plausible.
Yeah, ngiyakuzwa ukuthi approach maybe i-first step akuyiwe khona kuma-court aseZimbabwe. Yeah, I agree ukuthi it's a good idea. But let's say wehlula eZimbabwe, ubone ngathi indawo njenge-South Africa ingasebenza noma i-SADC noma i-AU.
Right. First, kuvele uqalwe eZimbabwe for one reason. If you are going to take the matter to any tribunal outside, bazokubuza nge-issue yama-internal remedy. What have you done internally? Because you cannot just come out and report about a sovereign state when you have not tried anything internally. So the first stage should be an internal an application or whatever within the country, pursue the matter up to its logical end. Then the next would be the African Union. The reason being South Africa is another sovereign state which is equal to Zimbabwe. So on the principle of sovereignty, there is no way a South African court can sit in judgment of another sovereign state who is external. So that one is out, especially on this particular one. So it would be tribunals of the nature such as maybe the African Commission for Human Rights and so on. Yeah, those should be the most competent, but otherwise it should be internally, then a regional, then an international one. Looking at maybe, like I mentioned, the ICCC, having verified, of course, whether Zimbabwe is a signatory of it and whether, you know, it is bound and so on and so forth. But those are the channels. Certainly not another state, because there's no court outside, there's no foreign court that would be competent to hear a matter where another sovereign is involved.
Okay, I see. Before ngivale Baba Moyo, is there anything else you want to say? Maybe kulokho okukhulunyweyo ngombuzo wakho lona noma usuqedile?
Hayi, ngicabanga ukuthi kuzwakele baphendule kahle. Those are options and alternatives ezingakhona. Ngicabanga ukuthi hayi kuzwakele kahle impela. Kuzwakele kahle.
Okay, I know. Sibongile kakhulu.
Ngiyabonga.
All right.